Well, hey guys, welcome back to Detroit Garage. We're just working on this 1988 Detroit Silver Series 453T. I bought this locally about an hour and a half north of here for 250 bucks US. And I've torn it down, inspected the parts, and I'm so impressed with it. We're gonna build a dyno mule to test injectors, turbos, blowers, and eventually it's going to end up in the Diamond T here. So I've mic'd everything up. Everything's in really nice shape except the liners. I broke liner number 2 getting it out. I did hone them. They need another couple of thousandths, and they're right at the limits. They're above the limits for reusing them by Detroit standards. Yeah, probably I could get away with it. But my goal here is to make a good, reliable, smoke-free engine that doesn't burn oil. And, you know, I don't like smoke. So that's what the plan is. And very low hours on this. I don't know how many. I spoke to the owner. He doesn't know how many because it was a repower and they didn't take a note of the hours on the hour meter. So no idea how many hours is on it, but not very much. What brought Jimmy to his knees was running out of coolant. And I'll show you some liner seals here for giggles. So I pulled these liners out. So cylinder 1 and 2 were the worst, and you got melted liner seals. Do you see that? So both cylinders 1 and 2 have melted liner seals, and 3 and 4 were okay. I don't see any signs of overheating on the liners, but the head, mind the mess. I just tore this thing down, so I haven't cleaned up yet. So cylinder 1 has a crack here. Cylinder 2 is cracked on both valves. Cylinder 3 cracked as well. Cylinder 4 is okay. So this head possibly could be welded up and fixed, but for now I'm just going to keep it, not throw it out. There's that broken liner. It was in there. That's liner number 2. That was really in there. I couldn't get it out. It broke with the puller. And these are the other liners I've honed up. This one here is out of this one here is out of my other engine, but these are the liners I honed. The pistons, they turned out pretty good. I didn't show it on camera, but those rings were seized in there really bad, so I spent quite a few hours getting the rings out and cleaning those up. So the bearings in them are in exceptional condition. There is some scoring here, but very light. So I'm reusing all the bearings. It's going to be a budget build. Part of that budget, low budget build, is cleaning the block. So I'm going to use a pressure washer. Instead of sending the block out to the machine shop and having it hot tanked, I'm going to pressure wash it here and see how it turns out. So I've sprayed it with a engine cleaner, kind of let it soak overnight, and then we'll get it outside and pressure wash it. This will be a good, I think a good video on the cost of rebuilding a Detroit using used parts and some new parts. So we're going to put new liners in it, new seals, new valves, new guides, new springs, and rebuilt injectors, used injectors, rebuilt injectors, and test it out on the dyno and see how it performs. So let's get down to washing this block, shall we?
Let's give them 2 extra.
This one here?
Yep. And then your way.
Okay, here it is before we hit it with the pressure washer. We'll see how well it turns out. Very happy with that. So this engine, like I said, I don't know how many hours is on it, but it sat out in a field with the head off for about 10 years. So minimal water damage, so all the bearings and rotating pieces can be reused. So the crank is in good shape. Just have to polish 1 or 2 journals on it. It's good to go. The air box is really clean. I'll wipe it out with a rag and make sure there's nothing left in it. So very happy with that. Well, now that I've got it pressure washed, I'll clean off some of these gasket surfaces. I did the other side. I won't bore you to tears, but I just use a knife and scrape it off. Nothing special. I did give it a shot of paint on the other side. So all I'm doing is cleaning the gaskets and then blowing out all the passages, making sure all the oil passages and everything are clear. And then I'll put the bearings back in it. There is gasket remover. I've never bought any. I'll just do this. Okay, I'm gonna blow out all the oil passages again and then just set the bearings in. I'm reusing the bearings, so that's the plan of attack. I'm just gonna pull out some plugs here and blow those out as well. All right, so I blew out all the oil passages, the drain here on both sides. So the blower is I'm swapping the blower out to put on this side, the opposite side of what it normally would be, because I'm configuring it the same as my my silver in my pickup truck. So that's how I'm going to do that. It looks like a fitting broke off here, so I've got to get that out, but I'll work on that later. Anyway, put the bearing caps back in. Before the crank goes back in, I'll take the bearings, blow them back out again, clean them all up, and reassemble the engine. Right now I just want to get these bearings back in. The bearing caps where they're supposed to be, whatnot. So the bearings are in really good shape. All right, we got the bearings back in. I still have to prep the block for the liners though, but for now, work on the crank and polish that up and make sure it's good. So I'll put the crank on the bench and have a look at it. All right, well here's the crank. The engine had been sitting outside for 10 years with the head off. So there's two spots. There's one here, a little stain, and then there's this stain here. So we're going to polish that out and reuse the crank. Other than that, I'll put a sleeve saver on here. Yeah, other than those small blemishes, the crank's like new. So just get some 2000 grit or so. Little bit of oil. I just want to take the edges off this, and that's it. It doesn't have to be perfect because there'll be a boundary layer of oil between the bearing and the crank. Okay, you're gonna call that good. Yeah, that's pretty nice. Just this spot here now. Make sure I didn't miss anything. So we're not really removing much material, we're just kind of smoothing it out. So another spot there. All right, it's just a little bit of a low spot again. That's good. There's no other blemishes on the crankshaft, so it's going to go back into service. All right, well, we're calling that good. I'm going to work on this a little bit more and then calling it good. All right, so we're going to call that good. I'm just blowing out all the journals. So that crank's ready to go back in. I'll give it one last wipe down and then prep the block for it. So I'll blow the oil passages out one more time and then put the crank back in. Of course, I got to clean this mess up, make sure the floor is clean and everything's clean around here for the reassembly. But at least get the crank back in and then order up all the parts I need and then reassemble the engine. So I can get the crank, the counterbalance, and the camshaft back in. I mic these bearings against my camshaft I'm gonna run, and they're 5/1000ths clearance. So the book says max of 7, a min of 3.5, so that's pretty sweet. So we're reusing the cam bearings as well. Well, there you have it, guys. That's a look at just pressure washing the block and seeing how it turns out. Really happy with it. It cleaned up really nice. Threw a little bit of silver paint I had left over on it. And all the airbox passages are nice and clean. Yeah, really happy with it. All the gasket surfaces are all ready to go. So it's basically prepped and ready to go back together. And then we'll reassemble all the sub components as well. So yeah, just a quick one, guys. I hope you enjoyed that, and we'll catch you on the next video. The next video will be putting the crankshaft in, crank and camshafts. Yeah, it should be interesting. So I'll bring you along for that. And again, take care. We'll catch you on the next video.